I wouldn't find it as problematic if we gave these prisoners a chance to let them run through a forest and hunt them down or something. Somehow, to me,
we have very different ideas. I was not thinking about hunting them for sport.
Right. Well,
I was thinking about them trying to redeem themselves in the eyes of society, and viewers could vote to keep them alive. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, I don't want to kill Gary this week. Gary doesn't seem as terrible as he's been portrayed by the prosecutor. But like Ted seems fucked up and irredeemable. We should definitely kill him this week.
Winners use drugs.
Okay, so let's get into it. What kind of stock? What are your thoughts on stocks in general?
Yeah, well, I obviously stocks are a good thing. I think investing in stocks is a wonderful thing. The problem I have is when I get unsolicited stock advice, right? Because it's never a good thing. You either get stock advice from someone who doesn't have an authority on the subject. Maybe they're wrong and you lose money, or they're right, you don't invest, and now you feel like you missed out.
Yeah.
Right? So it really never goes good for you when you get stock advice. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I always feel like if you're getting advice, you're chasing. Like, you're almost certainly chasing. Like,
that's true as well. Yeah.
People that are like, like, for example, Bitcoin. If Bitcoin has made the mainstream news, you've probably missed out on the upswing. Do you know what I mean? Like, it has continued to go up, but it just could have easily been a bubble and fucking crashed, right? Like nobody knows what the hell Bitcoin is happening.
But they also say buy the rumor, sell the news, right?
Sorry, say that again.
Buy the rumor, sell the news.
I don't think I've heard that before.
Yeah. So the idea is like when you get the offhanded stock tip, that's when the stock is about to explode. And when you see a news article about the stock, that's when the stock is about to drop. That's the idea. And I see that. And the problem is that some of these stock tips really do work out. Like, I was on a Discord, like a trading Discord a while back, or just like a few weeks ago actually, and they were talking about this HCMC, right? And they're like, oh, HCMC, right? And I looked, and it was like 0.27 of a cent. That's how much the stock cost, right? And by the end of the week, it was like 0.5 of a cent. So it doubled, right? I could have put, say, like $1,000 on that stock and made $1,000 in a week, right?
Yeah, but this is the thing. I'm in a bunch of those Discords.
Right.
You constantly have those ones, and like that's the fallacy, right? Is like you hear one, and it triggers your fear of missing out.
Exactly.
And like that's why I think it's bad if you're not just finding your own shit, like and doing whatever works for you, because it's like, yeah, sometimes people are going to hit and you're going to feel like an idiot that you didn't listen to them and didn't whatever, but you're also not tracking all their failures. Like the people in the Discord are people that legitimately do this for a living, and like they're the only ones keeping accountability. Like, if I've learned anything about stocks, is that people lie about their portfolios all the time. Everybody wants to say they're doing better than they are. Right. Like it's one of the biggest traps, like, is that nobody wants to admit, like, my portfolio sucks shit. Like, there's no question. Like, if you look at it, it's like, okay, this guy invested $5,000 in weed stocks, didn't think about how weed sucks ass to buy legal, and like would never do it himself. And like,
yeah, well, and I think the biggest problem for me is that if I'm looking at a Discord of people trading stock tips, or I'm talking to friends who all have their thoughts on the subject, I can't tell what is a good or what is a bad stock tip, right? All I know is that this person maybe had some successes in the past, or they didn't have successes. I don't know where they're getting their information from. I don't know any of that. So it doesn't help me. All it does is in hindsight, I can look back and say, oh, that one was good and that one sucked.
Mm-hmm.
And if I had known at the time, I could have made a lot of money, right? And it just doesn't feel good to have that information when you get it initially or after the fact. Right?
Yeah. Well, and like the two guys that run these discords are like, stocks will not, it's not a get rich quick scheme. Like, it's like the people that are successful in stocks are people that are patient, like that wait for cycles to come around and hit their, when, like, for example, like I think they said 80 billion went into the market this year, like this week or last week or something. A lot of people think it's going to be a crash now as a result. I'm not really sure how that correlates.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing is it's psychologically hard to deal with, because like I started to get kind of serious into investing in 2019, and I did pretty well. Like I got some pretty good returns, and then I actually got really lucky, and I decided to sell most of my stock right before the pandemic hit. And there was only two companies that I kept. One was a toilet paper manufacturer, and the other was a senior home company.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, so like the senior home company did horribly. The toilet paper manufacturer did amazing, right? So it was weird. But then I thought to myself, great, I'm out of the market. If the pandemic is going to destroy the stock market, I can wait till it's over and get back in. And then the stock market in 2020 did amazing.
Yeah.
Right? Like
it again.
Yeah, like it reached record highs, and I'm sitting there like, oh, so it's hard to wait it out, right? Because you feel like, oh, things are going to take a turn for the worse because they've been good for so long, and everything is so overvalued. But every day you wait, it's just like it just goes higher and higher.
I know, but
right?
That's the thing. So me and a friend were predicting all last year, this has got to be the crash. Like, this is long before COVID even. It was just like, there's no fucking way it can go up for 10 years and not ever correct. Like this is all inflated bullshit, whatever. And like, yeah, like I'm still really pessimistic. I'm like, it's got to be this year. If it wasn't last year, it's got to be this year. But it's like, yeah, there's no, like, the reason I don't think it'll happen this year is because they've pushed, like the Fed has said, like they're going to keep the whatever interest rate at 0 all year.
Yeah.
And then also like, the Democrats are going to push the whole eviction thing for sure for a year, right? I think the eviction thing will be like the housing crisis. Like, it'll be like,
yeah, like a huge, a cataclysmic event that causes. Yeah, I like, in my limited knowledge, my understanding is, yes, as long as interest rates are low, people with money don't have anywhere else to put it, right? Because they're not going to put it into a loan. They're not going to loan the money to someone and get like 0.05 interest or whatever they get from it, right? They're going to put it into the stock market. So my understanding is it's going to do fine until that changes. I don't really know, but I guess for me, the strategy that I have now is that because I can't tell if stocks are overvalued or if they're going to go higher or what, I'm looking now for companies that I just like, companies that seem really cool to me. Like there was one that they're making plant-based protein from hydroponic lentils, for example. Yeah. I'm actually losing money on the stock. I bought it and it's going down, but whatever. That's a cool company. I like that idea. So,
well, isn't that Warren Buffett's like whole thing is like invest in companies you believe in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or maybe it's Berkshire Hathaway.
Well, that was in Mark Cuban's AMA on Wall Street Bets. He said, would you want to own this company? That's the question you should ask yourself before you buy it, right?
I wish I'd asked myself that about weed stocks.
Yeah, well, we were talking about CBD last time, right? And we were talking about how the products out there just don't have enough CBD in them, and that's why they're all kind of bullshit, right? There's a company in Canada that's genetically modifying yeast to produce CBD, right?
Okay.
So I was thinking like I looked at their balance sheet and their debt level is like pretty high. So I'm thinking it's like a wait and see, but that's a cool idea, right?
Like, is the idea that it's easier to grow than actual CBD? Like, cause like tons of CBD gets thrown out, right? I think like the last stats on like legal weed were like for every 1 kilogram sold, 7 were thrown out.
Yeah. So I guess I don't know, but my assumption is like a microorganism can pump out CBD at a much higher rate than a plant in a field can, and you can grow vats of it. Like you can really like industrialize the process.
You don't need space.
Yeah. So that might be a company I would consider investing in. But the question I have, and maybe this is something you know about, is like,
I highly doubt it.
yeah, maybe not. But it's like anytime I've tried like a pure CBD product, like it's like a CBD Isolate, it doesn't provide me with the same effect as like a full spectrum plant extract, right?
What's the isolate? Like is it in milligrams? Like, do they say how much CBD it is?
No, like if you get like, I don't know how much of the legal market you've tried, but if you get like a CBD oil and it actually doesn't taste too bad, like it's just like a clear oil that has like no taste to it.
Yeah, coconut oil or whatever.
Yeah, that's like a pure extract, right? They've taken out all the terpenes and all of that stuff from the bud, and I feel like that is the problem with CBD, is you're not getting all of those other compounds that work synergistically with it, right?
Yeah, I have heard that as well. Like the removal of terpenes and stuff like that in weed significantly decreases the like efficacy for people like cancer patients and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I only know of the one study on CBD, so it's like I'm certainly not an expert on CBD. I just know that like, yeah, I drank like a whole fucking bottle of something someone gave me, and I was like, yeah. And so I looked it up and found that study that was like you need 300 to 400 milligrams like to have any effect on anxiety.
Yeah, and that's what Anna was saying, the same thing. She's like, you need just a lot more for it to work. And I was like, well, I don't know if that's true. I think, because I used to get this medical stuff from Aurora, right? It was just a CBD oil, and it tasted horrible. It was like pouring water into an ashtray that you just used to smoke a joint with.
I actually had that. I know exactly what you're talking about. It did taste terrible.
But that stuff worked. Like it just like took that anxiety and just like crammed it down deep inside or something, right? And I think that's what's missing, is like that full spectrum extract, right?
Well, it could be, because I remember at least feeling that one. Do you know what I mean? Like I remember that it did something. Do you know what I mean? I obviously didn't think it was amazing, or I would have continued doing it. But like, I do remember thinking this has an effect. Whereas this other one that was like, yeah, the whole coconut, you can't taste it, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Only had 150 milligrams in the whole bottle. And it was just like, this for sure didn't do anything. I don't know. The only thing that I have thought of, though, is the placebo effect was probably heavily in effect the first time, because I hadn't read that study. And so I was like, okay, this is helping with my extreme anxiety, right? Like,
yeah, that's a possibility.
And like Buckley's, tastes like shit, so it must be good for me.
Yeah, that's a possibility. I don't know. Like, to me, anxiety is this thing that it like circumvents my brain, right? Like that's how I feel about anxiety, is that it's a response, a physical response that my body's having that I don't want it to have. Like I'm not provoking it to have that feeling. It's just responding as though there's a threat.
Yeah.
Or something. Like my heart's going, I'm sweating, things like that, right? I don't know how a placebo can deal with that, but I could be wrong. I'm not sure.
But that's the thing. The whole placebo effect, and this is why I don't tell people, generally speaking, like that take CBD, my facts on it, because it's like, if the placebo effect works for you, great. Like the idea is that if you think this is helping you, it's like being hypnotized. Like it's like you're less likely to react to stuff because you're like, well, I took CBD this morning, so I shouldn't be. Like, you know what I mean? And it helps suppress your what's that called?
Autonomous.
Sympathetic nerve.
Oh,
or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
You know, and so like it's the same as like focusing on, like, it's like if you have a solution, your brain doesn't panic. Or I think that's how the placebo effect works in the case of CBD, but I'm not entirely sure.
It's an interesting thing to consider. I just ordered some full spectrum CBD oil. It is also 1,000 milligrams, so it has both of those sides. So I'll see how that is. I'm really hoping it does have an actual significant effect in that way, right?
And like I've been considering like going back to, like, you know, I'm obsessed with smoking shit, so it's like, can I get CBD that I don't hate to smoke? Because that would be ideal. Because like that's the only thing that I've ever smoked that was like, holy shit, like my body feels, I smoke too much. Like that's why I was like vibrating and shit. But like I think there's maybe a level that it might be great to smoke at. Going back to the stock thing, if you made money, how much, like, or if we made money at a podcast or anything you do in your personal life, how much money is enough money to you?
That there's no enough money.
You think you'd be one of those dudes that like hauls like 99 million and is going for that extra million to become a billionaire?
I think I would look at money more as money is a tool, right? It's something you use to do something else. I'm never going to be the kind of person that just wants a higher number in a bank account, but I want ever increasing amount of possibility about what I can do, right?
Right. But the argument could be that you could be Elon if you hold on to billions.
Yeah, exactly.
So
right?
you would want to haul money?
Well, I mean, if I have a vision of something, like I'm not necessarily Elon because maybe I can't be Elon. Maybe I don't have the capacity to run a company like Tesla or SpaceX, right? Mm-hmm. But if I am close to that, if I've already gone a few steps towards that, and it's looking like, yes, I could be one of those characters and I could actually make a huge difference, then I'm still going to push forward and try to get to that level.
Right.
So
I think, yeah, I don't I have a number in mind. Like for me, it's like $2 million. I'm set. I don't try I don't try to accrue more. I just make sure that this will last my lifetime. I don't really give a shit. I want to be able to help friends and family out. Like, you know, like Mr. Beast was asking the other day, like, what would you do if you were given $1 million? Or like, and I was like, my idea of what I wanted to write back or like make a TikTok of was like, I would give everybody I know, like that I felt close to, the option, like, what do you really want? Like, what do you really want? I'd let everyone else spend that $1 million, see how many of those people offer shit back to me or say like, no, you should, like, you know what I mean? Like, I like to test people. So like,
yeah,
to me, getting $1 million, it would be almost better to test how close are my friends or how well do or like how, because I value like.
Well, how would you pass the time if you had $2 million? Like, would you just live the same life that you're living now?
No, I'd immediately move from this country without a doubt.
Oh, okay.
I would go to a place where it's year round. I could garden, be whatever. Probably, yeah. I don't know. Probably New Zealand. If I could pick anywhere, I would probably go to New Zealand.
Yeah, a lot of people say that. I don't know what is it. I mean, well, before we get into why New Zealand is the destination of choice, one thing I want to ask is like, how much of the life that you're leading is driven by the survival, right? Like you need to go and get food. You need to do all of this stuff. Mm-hmm. And that sort of takes a component of your day to day to do. And if you have enough resources where you no longer have to think at all about that, like you're completely set, you know for a fact that you're going to be okay for most of your life, don't you feel like you're going to have to find some new thing to strive towards?
Yeah, goals are always important. Like I'm just saying, if I had that kind of money, it's like I would have the life I think I want right now, which is like if I had a sweet house where I could just do whatever shit I wanted to, I'd be putting that up on YouTube. It's like, I'm going to build a fucking greenhouse today. Like it just like, to me, money is freedom. So it's like, if I had enough money, I would just start doing creative shit and doing that like this. It's like, it's just something to do.
But the worry is that you get to a point where the next thing you want to do just costs a significant amount of money. And say like you're halfway through the $2 million and suddenly it's like, oh, if I really want a boat. I would really just love to sail around.
I would never buy a boat. What a terrible investment. People think cars are a bad investment.
Yeah.
Boats are the worst investment.
Yeah, but there's a reason why they exist. It's because like rich people run out of things to spend their money on or something, right?
Yeah, but I think that's the thing. I think I'm a man of simple needs. Like crazy amounts of money. Like $2 million is my insane amount of money. Do you know what I mean? And that's not even insane by today's standards. Like it's like, you know, you're probably putting like 600 into a house and like.
Right. Well, I'll say like if I retire with $2 million, I'm worried. Because I'm worried about how far that $2 million can take me at 60, right? And that's, 20, 30 years from now.
But that's the thing. I don't really crave like there's no big and I don't think money would change. Like I genuinely believe I'd be one of those people that money doesn't really change very much. I play $60 games for like 4.5. I'm playing one game that came out 10 years ago. Like it probably costs less than a penny per hour at this point for what I paid for it. Do you know what I mean? Like the things I like to do are very inexpensive. Like I don't like to travel. Like I don't like that. Like travel would be a huge budget for most people. Yeah,
but I wonder how much of the fact that the things that you like are cheap is driven by the fact that you don't have $2 million in your bank account. That is just the thing that you did out of necessity, not necessarily because that's who you really are.
I get it, but I don't think I like, it's like new money versus old money, right? Like a lot of new money people will tell you that they still are super frugal and whatever because they can't get out of the poverty mindset. And like, I'm pretty like locked into that. Like, it's like, I don't think like, if anything, money would panic me. Like I would just be like, put this away, have someone give me 50 grand like every year for the rest of my, like, do you know what I mean? Like having a large amount of money panics me.
Yeah, I see that. I think for me, what it is like, I just have so many things that I would like to do, right? Like one example, and this, don't take this as like a serious ambition of mine, but lately I've been watching TV and it's just garbage on TV. Like, I don't know why, if it's COVID has caused problems for studios or what, but there's just not a lot of good shows. And after a while, I start to get this like desire to make a TV show. Right? It's not like I ever would.
This is a quick way to lose a lot of money, but yes.
Yeah, but it's like I want to. I just want to do what I see other people doing wrong. When I see a lot of people doing something wrong, it's like I want to come in and do it right.
What do you like? What's your main criticism? Like, what do you think people are getting wrong? And it is like everything's shut down, like the production line shut down, right?
I think they're just taking the safe route too much. Like there's nothing out there that's just really.
I agree. Let's make a game show where somebody dies.
Yeah, that could be one. That's not what I would do, but yes, I would watch that. Or would I? I don't know if I would, but
it would be really fucked up. But that's the thing.
Yeah,
there would be an audience for that. It would be new. It's like when Who Wants to Be a Millionaire came out. It's like was pretty unfathomable that they would give away $1 million on TV. Right. And like, yeah, we keep pushing the bounds all the time. So it's like, why isn't it like this week on execution? Like,
yeah, that's like the Stephen King dystopian future thing where it's like, oh, we all think reality TV is going to go in that direction, right? Eventually.
Well, like instead of like just executing death row people, have them compete for their lives.
Yeah. Right. like that's actually something I've oddly thought a lot about is like execution to me is such a hard thing for me to think about. And I think the problem I have with it is that people are calmly going towards their death, right? It's like there's no struggle. There's no attempt to stop it from happening. They're just walking calmly, sitting in a chair, whatever. It's
really
right?
fucked up. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that bothers me. And I think like I wouldn't find it as problematic if we gave these prisoners a chance to like let them run through a forest and hunt them down or something. Somehow to me,
we have very different ideas. I was not thinking about hunting them for sport.
Right. Well,
I was thinking about them trying to redeem themselves in the eyes of society, and viewers could vote to keep them alive. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, I don't want to kill Gary this week. Gary doesn't seem as terrible as he's been portrayed by the prosecutor. But like Ted seems fucked up and irredeemable. We should definitely kill him this week.
Yeah, but that's because you are a charismatic person. So you feel as though you would have a better chance appealing to like the public sympathies. Whereas to me, that would be a nightmare. If I had to convince the public to spare my life, I could not do that. The pressure alone would destroy me. I would be just like my...
I'm so uber confident about it. It's like I could live in this game show.
Yeah. Whereas like put me into a forest and try to hunt me down, and I feel like I have a better shot.
Oh my God.
That's why.
I would get murdered immediately in that forest. I would be like, all right, I don't hike. I don't like I would probably be the guy that they show on the top down map that circles back towards where the people with the gun have been starting 2 hours earlier. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they would just fucking be like, oh, there's a guy right here. Yeah.
Yeah. So that, but the topic we were on was like, I want to fix these sort of things. Like I want to make a video game that does something that I haven't seen video games do yet. And it's just been bothering me, right? Like that's the kind of thing that I could use millions of dollars to do.
Yeah.
So I just wouldn't be happy with just a few million. I would just want to keep going to the next level, right?
Yeah. And like, I just don't have those desires. Like if anything, like my desires are way more like, I would want to accrue money to just like be doing kind of what Mr. Beast does. I wouldn't be spending $140,000 on ice cream. I'd be like giving that to somebody like whatever that philanthropy shit is. That's what would drive me. But at the same time, I would want to be like, have you heard of this like billionaire that's been giving away, like he had more money than Gates, I think. And he like didn't want his name to be known, but he's just been giving away like all his billions for 10 years or something. And like, he finally died, but like, that's the kind of shit. Like I wouldn't want any recognition. I just would like to be low key helping community centers or fucking educating the United States. Cause like, Jesus Christ, they're fucking morons. And yeah.
Like I personally, I'm not a big fan of like billionaire philanthropists. Because I feel like that's a band-aid, right? Like we have a society that permits billionaires to exist, and then we rationalize that by the odd time that a billionaire gives away tons of money and does a lot of good. And it's like, we should just not have a society where we need the billionaire to do that.
I'm in total agreement. Like, the system should be working in a way that like a person can accrue $1 billion, but like the country should have made billions off taxes at a certain point, right? Like it should be lifting everybody in a way, but it is just money siphoning until they choose to, maybe give money back.
So since you would be generous with your money, how do you feel about all of these lottery winners who talk about how winning the lottery was the worst thing that ever happened to them because their family just constantly hounds them for money from that point on?
It wouldn't happen for me. I know that for a fact. Because when people infringe on my boundaries, it's like I have really good fucking boundaries. So it's like, if my family was like constantly asking me about money, I'd be like, if you ask me about money again, we're not going to talk. Like, it's like, I'll cut anybody out of my life. It doesn't, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like people that have that happen. I mean, here's the thing. Winning the lottery would ruin my life. I would be that guy that's like, all right, I'm into hookers and cocaine now. Like, this is my life for a while. I want to have the craziest 30s and just, burn out and be a guy that does nothing like after, right? That wouldn't be the goal, but that's what would happen. This is why I said like tons of money scares me. If I ever got a massive influx of money, that kind of shit might happen where it's just like easy indulgence, right?
But wouldn't it be like, I'm imagining a situation where maybe it's not your family, maybe it's even just your friends, and you haven't talked to in a while calls you up and it's like, hey, let's hang out. And you're like, yeah, let's hang out. That'd be awesome. And they just come and they pitch you for their business idea or something, right? And it's just that happens to you all the time. It's like everybody now doesn't see you anymore. They just see the potential money that you can provide them.
For sure. But like, I mean, you can look at it. So like, I think, so we'll say hypothetically that does happen, right? I think that would make me, after a while, you do hear that would make me incredibly jaded towards people, right? Like you'd be like, why is this person into me? I already wonder that. If I had money, it would be even worse. It'd be like, I think this person's just after my money, right? It'd be hard to figure out. But I think the way to reframe it would be like, if someone is desperate enough to be trying to rekindle a friendship to ask me for a small business loan or whatever, that you could think of it as like, they really needed to do this. Like they really felt compelled to have to try to manipulate me to get money, whatever. So I would give them the money. I think this is like a movie or something. I would give them the money, but I'd be like, never call me again. Like this is done now. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like you needed the money and I'm happy to provide it. But like this relationship was built on you just wanting money or.
Yeah. And that could be a way to handle it. That to me seems tragic in a way. 'Cause it's like, there's all these people and I mean like people are people, they're not perfect. Right. And I still want to have like someone who were to do that to me. Like I become rich and that person was someone I genuinely connected with before. And now they've changed because they can't see past the money. I might maybe do a similar thing to you and say, okay, yes, I'll give you this money, but our friendship is done. That's still a tragic situation, right? It still sucks that happened, right?
But I guess this is where I don't have a clear view because for me, it's really fucking easy to like cut people out. So it's like, if there's as in your face an excuse as like them just wanting money from me, it's like, oh, easy peasy, like bye. Like I'll meet other people that genuinely won't give a shit. Like this is why people always talk about like one of the biggest issues is like they get tons of money and their friends are all still poor, right? And that's why they start to hang out with other richer people, is because those other richer people aren't asking them for money and there's not a crazy wealth disparity. And when they go to brunch, there's no like, do I have to pay again? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I personally don't think I would have an issue with that. Like, I just think people know. I think they just wouldn't even fucking go that route with me.
So you're saying it's just like, yes, that would change me in such a way that I'd have to give up friends, but that's fine because there's a whole new class of people out there that I can now connect with. Is what you're saying, right?
I mean, No, I mean, like the people, what I'm saying is the people I know and my friends and family wouldn't ask me for money. Like they just wouldn't do it.
Maybe.
I
I
think,
don't know. I'll tell you what, was my thought in this subject. It's like, if I win the lottery, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a portion of it. Let's say I win $5 million. I'll take like 2 million of that. I'll put it in a trust for my family. And I'll go to my family and say, this money is for you guys, but you all have to agree. If one person wants to withdraw money, you all have to sign off on it.
oh my God, that's such a disaster.
And then that way they're fighting with each other, right?
Yeah, but you're going to be the guy that they call, like, for like, you haven't insulated yourself. Like your brother's going to call you and be like, Mom wants to take out fucking $100,000 for this stupid Mustang. None of us want to buy Mustangs for ourselves. Can you try to tell Mom, like, you're not out, like, I get the idea. It's a good idea, but I don't think that insulates you from the problems.
Yeah, I might get people trying to put me on their side and say, this is what I want to do. Can you try to convince this person, or this person wants to do this? Can you talk them out of it? And I'll just say, it's not my role. Sorry. You guys got to talk them out.
But that's the thing. I would be going insane with people even questioning or talking to me about it. Do you know what I mean? This is why I think it sets a bad precedent to even give away money, period. I'd like to be able to give away money. Yeah. But if I do it, I'm doing it anonymously. This is the same thing as like when, like, I remember like a Last Week Tonight was arguing why all lotto winners shouldn't have to, like, some states you don't have to show yourself.
Totally.
Some you do. Mm-hmm. But why they should all be anonymous is for that reason. It's like it can just totally destroy your life to have people know you had money. I've always thought if I got tons of money, people wouldn't know. I would be really reluctant to discuss that anything had changed. Like I would tell one person, like I would be like, all right, my brother, he's my financial guy now. If he chooses to fuck me over, so be it. But like, you tell me what I should be doing because I don't trust myself at all. Right. Yeah. And like just giving one person the power to dictate what I do. So if like I say to him, like, I'd like to give money to my friend Tony needs a new car or whatever. He'd be like, I'm sure he'd have a more critical thought, like, because people would play on my emotions for sure. Like that, like, as you're saying, like if an old friend decided to like come, found out I had money and came to me, it would be insanely difficult for me to not want to give them money. Like people I don't know, I often want to give money. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think that's a usual way people go about it.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. Like, if I ever win the lottery, I need to be anonymous. Maybe I would still provide money to my family. Like, I would really like to help my mom out. My sister, she's doing a lot better, but at a time I would have totally been like, here's $300,000, pay off your loans, that sort of thing. So yeah, I would want to be anonymous as well. I don't know. I don't get people who, it's like, there's like that guy in the Discord who was like, yeah, my Dogecoin went up 1,000%. And it's like, if I have a stock and it skyrockets and I own a significant amount, I'm not telling anyone that happened, because they're just going to be pissed off about it at best. Right. So,
well, I don't know if I agree with that. Why do you think people get pissed off? I'm generally happy for people if they made lots of money, but the guy with Dogecoin or whatever, I'm just like, it's good. Like, sure, it's up 1,000% now. Wait till it goes to zero, like every other crypto. Like there's always new, better cryptos coming out, and like I don't think, like, there's a reason I haven't invested in the space, right? Like, because it's so all over the place. It's very volatile. I don't think like the one has been created yet. Like I think there's going to be better and better blockchain technology.
Yeah, well, I mean, Dogecoin specifically is a BS investment. Like, it was made to be...
Isn't that the joke? That's the joke one,
yeah,
right?
it's a joke, and it was made to be hyperinflationary and all of that stuff, right? Like, it's not a good investment anyways, right? Bitcoin, I don't know. I think the the problem with Bitcoin is that it's deflationary, right? Like it over time it's just going to increase in value. So nobody wants to spend it, right? That's always the problem I had. If I had Bitcoin, right? And
you wouldn't want to buy pizza with it.
yeah, like there were websites that were like, okay, we accept Bitcoin. It's like, well, let's say I buy your product now, and then by the time it arrives, I pay twice as much for it because the Bitcoin has gone up by that much. So it just doesn't work as a currency, right?
Yeah.
So that's a problematic piece for that.
Yeah. Okay. On this like stocks thing, like we've kind of talked stocks and like future stuff. Shit. Yeah. Like what makes you feel content? Like, does money make you feel content, or is it relationships, or is it
that's a tough one. I don't feel content very often, I think. So
what's the like when you don't feel content, what's the drive? Like what do you typically start focusing on?
I think it's accomplishments. I think that's like when I've accomplished something, that's when I feel content, right? And it could be anything, like just going for a bicycle ride and going really far and coming back, right? I feel like I've accomplished something in that circumstance. Or even work, if I feel like there was a day where my brain was just able to focus the entire day and I did lots, I feel good about that day, right? And I feel content from that. That's really the only thing I can think of. That's that
whole staying present thing.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's like the number one, like you learn from anybody is like, if you can manage to, have small successes, it feels like you accomplished something. There are people that will argue that you need those small successes in order to have the Elon Musk, like, you know what I mean? Like, Elon Musk, like, constantly does stuff in his own life that allows him to be ready for taking on Tesla and 90 other things, right? Like, he's not a guy that's staying up till like 4:30 in the morning. He has a success every day when he gets to bed at 10, and I don't know.
Like, do you know any examples? Like, what does he do?
No, I don't know anything about, like, he's probably a fucking robot. He probably plugs in.
Yeah. But I kind of get what you're saying.
I'm just saying, to get that confidence, like, he needed to have successes along the way. Like, one of the things you see about people that are struggling often is they can't get those daily, like, they're not getting those daily accomplishments. At least this is what I've noticed in my friends, is like, okay, look, if all you can do tomorrow is go for a walk, you need to take that as a win and build upon that, because it does become this thing that's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you start that one step, you'll feel good, and it'll make you want to do more things that like you feel good about, right? Like,
okay, I get what you're saying. I've done that a lot too. Like, particularly with, say, like drawing, for example, is like I have no plans on ever being an artist, but what I like about having a hobby of drawing is that it's a very visual. Your progress is very visual, so I can see myself getting better very easily, and that gives me confidence in the sense that I am capable of getting a skill, of acquiring skills, right? So yeah, totally, I get that.
Because I don't have the mindset of like, I need to accomplish said thing in my life, right? So like, I don't know how those kind of mindsets work. Like, Tiger Woods, for example, arguably, you know, one of the most incredible golfers ever, and has won like everything possible. And he always said his goal was to beat, I think, Arnold Palmer. I'm not sure if he actually did, but like, he spent his life trying to accomplish that, right? And I wondered if he got there, would that actually satiate his whatever? I don't think so. Like, to me, it's like his dad was fucked up and trained him to have this fucked up, like, you need to win my approval kind of mindset, right? And so like, if he gets to 19 and like, he still thinks, I can't retire yet, that's not good enough, you know? Like,
well, I also feel like people who are at the top of their game, like Tiger Woods, they are having to let so many other aspects of their life and their character sort of fall to the wayside, right? Like you only have so many hours in a day to improve on something. So if you're the best golfer in the world, you are only the best. Sure, there's a little bit of innate talent, but you're also maybe you're not as good. You can't cook worth a shit, right? Because you've never even tried. You've just spent so much time improving that one skill. Right?
Yeah. I gotta pause.